Have your tea. Pass it down. Yes?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Growing up in USA, kind of the thinking that you have when something new happens that's outside of the routine or something that you're used to, you go into a panic. Like, this is new, I don't know how to deal with it. What am I going to do? You know, it's a panic thinking. But what I've seen observing you and observing Shaykh Effendi is that, especially with you, you say, okay, this is very interesting. Let me see how I'm going to deal with this. Let me use my...
You didn't grow up in Russia or in China, or... You're growing up in the most free country, most liberal country, let's say, in the world. And you're still resistant to change or thinking outside of the box? Then you don't know what is the box. I grew up in a box. There are billions of people who are still in the box. They've been in the box for a long time, whether it is through colonization or through communism, or just through not enough education, which is also the causes of these things, or poverty, which is also the cause of wrong ideologies. So don't blame America for making you to feel panic when things are outside of the box. Say, no, what?
So, for me, it's like, it's, okay, this is going to break my routine. There are things I know how to deal with. This is something I don't know how to deal with. And then it's kind of a spiral. So, but I see with you and Shaykh Effendi, it's not like that. It's like, okay, this is new. You kind of slow down, not slow down, but you make a space between the thing and yourself, and you figure out how to deal with it in a non-panic way. And especially being around you, you always say that this is something interesting. You know, you use that word interesting a lot, that I'm going to observe and understand this. How do you build that? How does a person build that?
You know why some people, they are in panic? Because they're privileged. That's why. They don't have to struggle. To think outside of the box, to do different things, is because you're struggling, because there's a lot of difficulties when you're growing up. So you can't afford to go like that. You have to go like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, just in order to get that. But when everything is just handed to you on a silver platter, then that's the only way that you know how to do it. So if they give you a copper platter, you panic. It's still a platter. So what I'm trying to say here, it is an attitude. First, it is an attitude. You have to get past that concentration, focus on your own feelings, to looking at that problem and finding a solution to that. Move away. It is a kind of self-centeredness also. Moving away from that. This is, maybe it's subconscious. You don't mean to be selfish, but it is. It's coming from that. Self-centeredness. So it's putting your feelings aside a little bit, your anxiety aside a little bit. And if you go through that a lot when you're growing up, then you cope. You cope. Oh, I've done this before. Then you know that when I do things, wrong things are going to happen. This is what I do. That with every step in the way of Allah, there will be 70 shaitans to derail you. Just because you think it should go that way, doesn't mean it's going to go that way. But because some of us, we grew up because we wanted to be that way, it's always that way, and we become so spoiled and privileged. This is what I mean. That when it's something else, you're like, you panic. You don't have to also, because you have our Shaykh as a guide, and he always finds a way. There is always an opportunity. And especially in the way of Allah, you have to look. That's why sometimes when something happens, they'll say, we want Shaykh Effendi. There is a thing where he says it's like this, and people are disobeying him, and he teaches. He gets upset, and he teaches, and he says this. There are certain situations, he says, do it like this, somebody doesn't do it like that. He still teaches, but we see him also taking a step back and looking at the situation and going along with the flow as well. That happens so many times. So we look. Don't worry, we step back. When we say it's like this, someone is not doing it like that. We take a step, we look at 100 different scenarios before we say anything. So that flexibility, what makes a man to be flexible? What makes a man to be inflexible? To stretch feels nice, but it's actually a little bit painful to begin with, yes? It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. So which means what? Take yourself out. From what? Your comfort level. Do things a little bit uncomfortable. And us trying to be in this way is a lot about being uncomfortable. Once you're sort of used to that, then you say it's not about discomfort, it's about finding another way of comfort. Sleeping on the floor is discomfort, we may say, but there is more. It's more comfortable for our spirit, because at least the Abdul-Kerim, when they were doing it, there's one small thing that we can do it also, that you can put to yourself. You're not going to panic. Oh, what am I going to do? I've always slept in the bed. Just on the floor. There are people who are like that. They come here and they're like, we look, then you understand their level also. Small things. I've always have 3 pillows when I sleep, and just one pillow. What am I going to do? To be a murid? No. You have to look into every situation. This makes you more flexible, you understand? The protocol, the adab, the person, the situation. Inshallah, this is what I see and this is what I learned from our Shaykh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. All right. Anything else anyone wants to say? Any questions?